You know, he waltzes in at Revolution, tells two of the greatest wrestlers in AEW in Moxley and Danielson to stop butting heads, unify. He creates the Blackpool Combat Club. They run this super faction for the best part of 2022, and then he only turns his back by giving MJF the brass knucks to take out Moxley and become the new AEW World Champion. No lies told, this man is a villain. What's up, people? My name's Mex. I'm a wrestling fan, wrestling enthusiast, WrestleManiac, if you will. And right here at WrestleManiac UK, I discuss everything that's WWE and AEW. So if this sounds like the place for you, make sure you hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit the notification bell so you get notified each and every time I drop a new video. Today's video, we're talking about that man William Regal. You know, he waltzes in at Revolution, tells two of the greatest wrestlers in AEW in Moxley and Danielson to stop butting heads, unify. He creates the Blackpool Combat Club. They run this super faction for the best part of 2022, and then he only turns his back by giving MJF the brass knucks to take out Moxley and become the new AEW World Champion. No lies told, this man is a villain. We're gonna get into what's going on and why William Regal is leaving AEW. A lot of AEW talent believe that his AEW deal is actually up in December. Now, this has been a point of contention throughout this entire story. Does William Regal have a 3-year contract or not? Does he have a short-term deal? This is what everyone has been discussing. It was believed it was a 3-year contract, but it now seems that no, that is not the case. William Regal joining AEW at Revolution to now apparently leaving where his contract ends in December 2022 means that his contract was only about 9 months long. That is now what is to be believed. Some people are saying that, you know, Tony Khan has just released him from his contract. You know, this guy is an absolute legend and you have utmost respect for legends. So Tony Khan has done him a solid and released him from his contract. That's the other rumor coming out. I guess it's still not really clarified, but all things are pointing at right now that December 2022, he is done with AEW. PW Insider have also chimed in on this story and said there is no doubt that all signs point that William Regal is heading straight back to WWE. Triple H, being a very big fan of William Regal, was pretty much Triple H's right-hand man with the whole creation of NXT and managing NXT, and obviously the roles that William Regal held recruiting talent in WWE. Like, he had a very big post in WWE, which we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, it seems that obviously he was forced out of WWE by the old regime, by Vince McMahon. He's went to AEW. He hasn't had the best of times in AEW, which we'll also get onto in a minute, and now it looks like he's set to return to WWE. So just before I touch on where it seems like things might have got a bit funny with his relationship with AEW and those in AEW, we just have to recap the excellence and how good William Regal was in this short-lived time on AEW TV. Like I said, he formed the Blackpool Combat Club, coming in at the end of Moxley and Danielson's great match at Revolution, telling these two idiots to stop butting heads and to unify, to, you know, form an alliance. And there you have it, the Blackpool Combat Club was born. And then following that, they made their recruitments, the kind of people they wanted to see that really embodied what the Blackpool Combat Club was gonna be about. They recruited young Yuta, which we all loved. They teased the Daniel Garcias and the Lee Moriartys. They also recruited Claudio Castagnoli, who, for me personally, didn't quite fit what the Blackpool Combat Club was, but I felt like he was almost an honorary member. Like, they had to include him, and it was an okay run for him, you know, as ROH champion and all of that kind of stuff. And William Regal has just been gifting great things, you know, in promos, just alongside these guys. Obviously, his relationship on commentary with Excalibur, we've all enjoyed that. And now we saw him kind of going into battle alongside Moxley, where Moxley had to defend the AEW World title against MJF. And that promo with MJF, you know, you guys remember it. I was in awe. I done a big ass video on my channel about that promo and how good it was from both men. And for me, that is when the turn of William Regal almost began. Like, that's when you could see the cogs were turning and that this was all gonna be short-lived. He was going to be the villain. The villain was gonna show up again. And by God, it did. We all saw what happened at Full Gear, you know. He challenged MJF not to use the Dynamite Diamond Ring, but instead threw MJF the brass knucks, which he used against Moxley, and then pinned his man Moxley 1, 2, 3 for the AEW World Title. And even then, just as it seemed like an unholy alliance was going to be brewing between MJF and William Regal, we saw MJF return to being that dastardly heel he is, clock William Regal in the back of the head, in the back of the neck with those same brass knucks. And ultimately, it looked like this was part 2 of writing William Regal off TV. We had obviously seen the week before that Moxley had said, run, I don't want to see you anywhere near here. Like, so it's like those 2 attempts almost at kind of getting William Regal off TV. This one was very effective. He was down, he was taken out by paramedics, put into an ambulance, and as we believe, never to be seen on AEW TV again. Now, the noise and the rumors that have been coming out is that William Regal didn't really see eye to eye with management. EC3 has come out and he had a conversation with Sportskeeda, and he was on stuff like, yeah, he didn't see eye to eye with management. They were quite immature for William Regal. There wasn't a good enough structure for William Regal. William Regal apparently has went on to say how, you know, sometimes he'll be talking in the ring, him and Danielson, and kind of giving seminars before shows to some of the talents, and some talents were there, not all talents were there. Brian Pillman Jr. also ran to this defense and said, yeah, this wasn't a thing where no one was listening to William Regal. Some people were there, maybe not as much as there should have been, given this is William Regal, but he did make sure that it was seen that, you know, people were listening to Regal, maybe not everybody. We have heard before, this isn't a new thing, this kind of fluidity, this kind of, you know, everyone in AEW is almost in charge of themselves and there is no real management structure, and it's almost, you know, you bring something to the table and we'll see if it works with what our general plan is. And this seems like maybe this is the situation William Regal has found himself in, that, you know, the structure he's used to, the rigid structure in WWE with that, it's just nothing like that in AEW. And yeah, you know, it's probably a bit of feeling like I don't want to push myself onto these younger talents. I don't want to be like that old school guy that says, hey, listen to me. And it's probably a mix of, you should listen to me because I've got a lot of good to say. Yeah, this AEW locker room and the dynamics of it, it's going to keep coming up. We've been hearing stories about this locker room for the past 3 years. This will not be the last of it. But very interesting to see that this could have been a contributing factor to William Regal's exit in AEW. Now, what does this mean for WWE? Well, it seems, like I said, all accords that he is heading straight back to WWE, and it's brilliant. I mean, this guy has been at WWE for 20 plus years before this had happened, before he was asked to leave. So he knows the place inside out. William Regal, as we know, he's got health issues, so maybe moving around and going and traveling, doing the whole road stuff again is not what he needs at this stage in his career. He wants to just live his life in Florida, roll into the performance center every morning, roll home, and just have a nice minimal piece of work to do in terms of traveling and getting around anyway. Like, that might be what's best for him at this time. I mean, in terms of his accolades and what he can bring, I mean, you don't need me to tell you this. He was the head director of talent development in WWE. He was the head of global recruitment in WWE before he left, before Vince gave him his bags and his marching orders. So I'm sure he's going to just slide straight back into maybe a very similar role, but I think it is definitely going to be a backstage role. I can't imagine we are seeing William Regal on WWE TV like we were seeing him on AEW. Like, it would be great. I would love it. I saw someone mention the other day, like, pairing William Regal with a heel Pete Dunne. Like, oh my God, like, that would be so good. But, like, I just don't see it happening. I think he's just going back to, you know, the backstage stuff. I don't doubt they will kind of announce he's back. You know, he might come out in NXT and just do something crazy and the crowd pops and we all know he's now there. But I think he is very much going to sit back into a backstage role, and that's probably part of his agreement. If they have let him out of his contract early, it's because he's going to go into a backstage role. He's not going to be an on-screen character and provide that, you know, in front of your face, head-to-head competition. But yeah, like I say, more than anything, he's probably just going to slide back into a similar role that he was doing before and help the next generation, help the next talents that's going to come through. it was said that William Regal was very in favor of NXT 2.0 when the whole idea was brought in just before he got asked to leave, because he understands that we need to be creating the stars of tomorrow and not just kind of giving the indie stars somewhere to live and a constant paycheck. Like, he really did say that, you know, 2.0 was a good idea. Maybe not the execution of how it looks like is what he agrees with, but the whole concept of it, he was firmly behind. That has been said, so he's gonna probably sneak back into there and get on with doing what he's doing. Obviously his son right now, Charlie Dempsey, is down in NXT. That could be something he has interest in, kind of overseeing his development. Obviously he was in NXT and Charlie Dempsey was in NXT UK, so he probably had some contact there as well. So yeah, you know, this is just a man that has earned this. You see what I mean? Like, we shouldn't be really fighting and doing bidding wars and, oh, you know, William Regal's a traitor and all of this kind of stuff. Please relax. Like, this guy is an absolute legend. He has earned the flexibility to, if it's leave his contract early, then that's what he wants to do. He's obviously made an impression on those in AEW, whether good or bad in some places, but I think he's been a fantastic on-screen character for AEW. Again, for me, a great usage of that older generation. Like, AEW just hit it out the park every single time when it comes to using the older generation in a capacity on TV. And WWE, they just tend to throw them in matches when it's completely unnecessary. That's just my opinion. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts on this. By all accounts, it seems that William Regal will be leaving AEW and returning to the WWE, most likely in a backstage role. Let me know your thoughts on that. What was your favorite William Regal segment or something he done on AEW TV? Let's talk about the good times before he makes his return to WWE. And would you like him to return to WWE in an on-screen capacity? Are you cool with him just returning backstage and developing the talents of tomorrow? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you smash the like button, and if you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you get notified each and every time I drop a new video. WrestleManiac UK signing out, and I'll see you